So, good afternoon, everybody. Let me get started. iC3D Suite version 4, as most of you know, has been announced at Drupa. There were some very exciting new features that have been announced, and I'm going to focus on those new features during the webinar today. For those individuals who would be new to iC3D, iC3D is a 3D visualization solution or a virtual mock-up creation solution dedicated at the packaging market. It can be used by brands, by design agencies, by packaging producers, or by packaging prepress companies. For visualization throughout the entire workflow, from the very early conceptual phases to have a look at what the volume will look like, what the artwork will look like, what are the decisions from the artwork, and the impact that the design will have, the artwork design will have on the overall appearance of the packaging. But it can also be used much further downstream to apply an artwork on a specific model and to have a look, if there's no mistakes made in the creation of the artwork, if there's no ink where there needs to be glue, if there are no white areas where there needs to be actual artwork. So really throughout the entire workflow, it can be used as a virtual mock-up tool. If we have a look at the virtual workflow of iC3D, and I just want you to make sure that you get that idea. There's the possibility to create a structure, and iC3D offers a whole range of tools on how to create structures and models. Then you apply a material to that structure, or different materials to different elements of the structure. Then you can apply artwork in a very easy way to that structure with the specific material. And then you can give it some finishing, and then there's various ways of presenting it. Either by exporting it to various 3D file formats, to images, to movies, and also through the online collaboration, or at least 3D content sharing service that iC3D offers, which is called iC3D Opsis. So let me start with some of the new features. Now, the new features, the first big new feature that was announced was ray tracing. So the focus of this new release really is on photorealism. Now, there's with regards to ray tracing, a couple of different elements that have been added. First of all, if you go to the Windows section, you will see that you have the possibility to select here a new window, and that new window will appear here. You can make that free floating, or you can dock that the way that you want. You can also choose the number of samples that you want for the rendering to happen. Typically, because we will be using this as a preview window, we will keep the number of samples relatively low, but you can increase that. Also, as you will increase the size of your window, obviously the rendering time and the previewing time will increase as well. Now, the first initialization will take always a little while, but once that is done, it will actually be relatively quick. And as you see, we have a nice preview of what the ray traced image will look like, right? So this is one thing. The second thing with regards to the ray tracing is that when you install version 4 and when you go to the application folder, you will see that there is a new application that has been added to the application folder. It's called the iC3D Render Manager. And the iC3D Render Manager actually is kind of a hot folder application that will ray trace the images that you want in the background. So you can actually have the ray tracer open, the Render Manager open here somewhere. So there's a couple of things that you need to know for those people that want to go into a little bit of detail. First of all, you need to set the hot folder here in the File menu. Basically, you need to define where the input folder is going to be of the Render Manager. And you need to set the output folder and also select the Use Output folder once you have set your output folder. So these, first time you start the Render Manager, this is something that you need to define and certainly need to set up. Otherwise, you might get lost a little bit. The other thing that you need to do is in the iC3D preferences, you need to go to Paths, and you need to define the hot folder, the input folder here in your preferences as well. So once we have done that, and you see what the quality more or less looks like here, or at least the preview looks like, but you see what that image more or less is going to look like, and you already can get an idea of the increased output quality that we will be getting compared to the OpenGL rendering that we have here. We have the option at the high-res image to here in the output render either select standard, and this will use the OpenGL render and quality, or we can choose here the raise ray tracer, and we have some options that we can select with regards to the quality and the number of samples. So I'm actually starting off with this because I want to show you this live, what this is going to bring us. So I will start exporting that image, and I will call this my 4-pack bottles, and actually save that out. So it is telling me that I need to have the Render Manager open, and what it is actually doing is it is saving that file to the Render Manager, and it will just take a while for that hot folder application to pick that up. We have it there. What I also recommend is having the auto start here. You don't necessarily have to have this on. If you have it on, obviously it will start the processing of the file when it receives the files, when it has seen that the files are there. If you leave it off, you actually have to go in and select that file and then hit the play button to start processing it. Just another note with regards to the Render Manager. Here we have everything installed on the same computer. You don't necessarily have to do that. When you download the application, you will also have the possibility to download the Render Manager separately. And you could install the Render Manager on a separate computer. It is currently not possible to really create a server farm where you kind of hook up different computers together and use all of the processing power of those different computers. But what you can do is you can have a dedicated ray tracing computer which has a lot of processing power and offload that work right there. So that is the ray tracing, and you can keep the ahs and wows for when I show the image that is actually ray traced to you just later on when we're done here. I will come back to that image once it has been processed. The other thing that I want to do is show you a little bit of the other options that are related to the ray tracing, or at least to the photographic quality that we want to achieve. And one of the first ones in that regard would be a new template. A new template which is called the interior and fill. So what we have here is this bottle, and what we will actually do is we will go into the material library, and we will select some more applicable materials. So we'll choose a clear, transparent material, right? And you see immediately what that does here on the ray tracing preview. Now, once again, for those people who are familiar with iC3D already, what you will see is that the material editor has been expanded. You have different ray tracing templates here. Be that paper, metal, glass, plastic, liquid, varnish, or mirror. And depending on what you will choose, if you choose a plastic, for instance, or a liquid, you will have here the reflective color and the transmissive color, a little bit similar as the diffuse color and the specular color, but this being specifically geared at the ray tracing. Also, the refraction is very important for ray tracing, and we offer specific resources in that regard. There's a website online available that will tell you which sites need which type of refraction, but that has been already preset in the current materials that are in the material library today. Right. So let me actually go back to my interior and fill template. This is a more advanced way of creating an interior. As some of you might know, we had the possibility to create an interior, a fill, I'm sorry, in the special effects here, fill with liquid. This was actually faking the actual fill to be created. This will provide you a much more realistic idea of what that fill is going to look like. So in this case, the first thing that we can do is create an interior, meaning give the wall of this bottle a certain thickness. And we can also give then the liquid some, I'll apply that interior first, sorry, and then we will apply that liquid, and I'll actually make it go a little bit lower. Yeah. So one of the things that you have is you can basically define the height from the bottom. You can define the wall thickness. You can define whether the bottom will be curved and what is the radius of that curve. With the fill, you have here the same idea where you define the head space. So this is basically the space between the top of the bottle and the actual filling. And then if you would want, you can give that also an angle. So if you would have a tilted bottle, that would give you the right effect right there. The other nice thing about this is that this will tell you what the actual fill volume is. So this should be half a liter bottle, and that means that if I really want to get close to half a liter, I will actually adjust that a little bit. Well, So with my 51, I'm very close to half a liter. So that would be also the filling level I need to be at half a liter. And then the other thing I can do is I can then go into my material editor. And so here I see in the rendering that while it says aqua, it really doesn't look like aqua. That is logical because the material that I selected was whiskey. Some of you might like that, to have whiskey in their water bottle, but we'll actually go for actual water. And we do that by changing that transmissive color here. Now, the other thing that we have here is the liquid density. This is interesting when we go more towards something like a fruit juice type of liquid. And when I will change that density, you will see that the appearance of that changes. Yeah. So obviously you now see that there is quite a significant difference between the OpenGL rendering and the actual ray traced rendering. This is why we have that preview window there. Typically, the way that we see the workflow is that you would use the OpenGL for a really fast visualization and for building the initial models and potentially building the initial mockups to get a little bit of an idea of where you're going to potentially get approval on initial design cycles. The actual ray tracing will then enable you to build a little bit further, but on that model. You don't necessarily have to recreate the entire model, but in order to really have a good output on the ray traced image, you will need to adjust the materials and tweak that further to get really the right output. So we got stuck with just the water, and we'll save that. And there you go. Yeah, and also when you tilt that, it will tilt there as well, so you will see what that is actually giving you with just a little bit of delay. So that's the first part on the ray tracing. Let me take a quick look at where we are with the ray tracing of that image. We're at 73%, so I'll get back to that in a second. I will close this window now, and I will start a new file. The other thing that that is important with regards to the photographic quality is the lighting. So you know that there are these image-based lighting environments that are available in the software that you can import and then choose to apply the specific environment on. Now, one of the new features is that now there's a built-in lighting rig editor. So you can basically completely either edit or create your own new environment. So I'm going to create a new one. As you've seen, I could open that one and start adjusting that. However, let me rather create a new one. And basically this is going to allow me to add different lights to it, to change the width, the height, and the angle of that. If I want to, and I can add multiple lights, I can change the opacity, make it lighter or make it darker. I can also pick a color here. I could even make it a gradient if I wanted to, and obviously I can change the position there as well. And in that way, or like this, I can add multiple lights to this, and in that way create my own specific environment. This is important for the ray tracing to get the exact studio effect that you want to achieve. As we said, you can add a background to this, and you can add specific effects to this as well. So where you previously needed a separate piece of software to create these environments and to edit the environments, you can basically create them here and preview them on the specific scene as you are creating them. You can save the environment and use them for later on. So we're not going to save this one. The other one that the other example that we have been, the other feature that we have talked about is this. So with these backgrounds and things like that, you know that we have been able to place a model into a background and position it there. One of the things that we got feedback on is that, you know, iC3D suite has already some shelving capabilities, and it's great to put actual product on an actual 3D model shelf. We also got the feedback that it would be great to take that a little bit further. And then the question is, do you need to create an entire store environment, or what do you do with that? What you see here is the actual solution that is offered. It's a feature that is called dynamic backgrounds, and it basically allows you to take a picture in the supermarket and to import that and to create and put your own model in there. But in a very smart way, and here you see that this iC3D Zap bottle quite nicely blends into the actual environment with the shadow, with these bottles sitting in front of this bottle here. So I wanted to show you how we actually are going to do that. So I have here another image. I've been going to the supermarket quite regularly lately, and people have been looking strange at me as I was taking pictures of the different halls I was walking through. So what I want to do is I will want to place some product right here, and I'm going to want to have a look at what my product is going to look like in that environment. Now, in order to do that, the first thing that I need to do is I need to open this picture in Photoshop. Yeah. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to cut out the part that we're going to use as the foreground. So as I am going to place my product here, this part here is going to sit in front of the product that I'm going to put on the shelf here. So in order to do that, what we're actually going to do, and I'll do this fairly quickly, is we're going to make this selection now. Sorry, I'm going to make a selection like this. Right. I'm doing this quick and dirty. understand that in a second. Right. So there we go. We're going to inverse this selection, and we're going to add a transparent layer to that, and then go back to that layer. And we're going to call this not our background, but we're going to call this our foreground. And we're going to save this as a PNG file. Yeah. Right there. Okay. I'm going to close that. And just to make sure, I'm going to save this JPEG also as a PNG file. So this is the little part in Photoshop that we're actually doing, and I wanted to show you this to you really from the beginning, rather than just skipping parts on how to do this. So the other thing, then back to iC3D, is that we have here this new icon called the creation of the dynamic backgrounds. And I have my previous one here already. I will create a new one in this case. And I will select my background first. And then I will actually here select my foreground, and you will see that this part gets masked. Now this is the first step. The second step is that then I can also define my field of view. The field of view will allow me to really automatically adjust the field of view of my model to the field of view of this background picture. The way to do that is to hit that button, and we will use, and for accuracy reasons, I also recommend to always use calibrating using the 3 axes. And so here, what we are going to do is we're actually going to define, based on some elements in this picture here, what the field of view of this picture is. There we have that. Here we will select this one. Yeah. And then we will draw this line here, and this one like that. Yeah. So you understand that little by little we are defining what the actual perspective is. This is the more difficult one, actually, because I don't have too much references, but I'm trying to make it parallel with this line that I have there. And I will do here something more like that. Yeah. Hoping that this will make more or less sense, I believe so. If I'm looking at these different parts, yeah. So now I've defined that, and the other part I could do that I'm not going to do at this moment is actually also calculate the light environment here based on that background. As the message says, this is actually taking a little while. Here it is going relatively quickly, but I just don't want to bore you with looking at the screen, looking at something processing. Just know that if you want to use the lighting atmosphere of this same picture, that by clicking that that button here, it will actually generate that that environment. So we're going to do supermarket cans and save that. Right, and we're going to select that background and we're going to apply that. Now that it is applied, we can import the model that we have created, and I've seen that we're apparently in the fish part. So you see this masking here is actually already done, and this is also why it has that strange effect right there. But you also see that now I can actually put my sardines behind the other. They're not sardines, I think they're mackerels, right? So I have now my sardines put on the shelf there. I can actually also duplicate them and make 4 of them. And what you now see is that I've created 4 of them, and all of that is good, but that shadow there is not being replicated. So there's once again an additional feature that is a little bit hidden. If you go to the shelf visualizer here, what you can do is drag that template onto the scene and go down here to the dynamic shelf. Yeah. So when I add that to the scene, I will actually create that shelf, and I can position that where the actual top shelf is. And to hide it completely, I can make this transparent so nobody sees it. But what I can use this for is, you all remember the shadow capabilities. And here I have my shadow editor. So when I add shadows, you see that now it's entirely in the dark. So now I can actually start shelf can. I can start creating the shadow, the desired shadow effect that I want. So, and I'll adjust that to match more or less the shadow environment, the way that it was right there. I can play around a little bit with the softness, but it's actually quite a hard shadow right there. So so we'll leave this this way, and there I have in quite a fast way, I have that element that has been placed into the shelf environment, looking what that would look like in the supermarket. Once again, these pictures, I took them yesterday when going to the supermarket. Anybody can do that. You can go to different supermarkets and get a very quick view of what that product will look like in the different supermarkets, whereas with some of the other tools, you would have to recreate the entire environment to actually be able to visualize that. So this is a very fast way of placing that product on a shelf in the supermarket next to its competitors. So those are the main 4 new features, 4 or 5 new features that we will see in iC3D Suite 4. I can see here now that my ray tracing on my original image, meanwhile, is completely done. And you can, and I will actually open this in Photoshop to give you the right view. So now we have an image looking like this. So you see that this is very sharp, very crisp from an image point of view. You see that there's some glossiness on that carton that nicely comes out. So these are real images that you will be able to use for marketing purposes, for sales purposes, to integrate into a campaign without necessarily having to retouch much of it in Photoshop or later on. You have an immediately ray traced, high quality image available. Just to be proactive about things, so what is the quality of this image? What is the size of this image? This is a 20 by 14 centimeters image at about 300 dpi. This image took about 15 minutes, a little bit less, I think, to ray trace on this computer, and this is a Mac Pro that is starting to get a little bit old, but it's the trash can model. So just to give you that idea, so it's a late 2013 model with a quad-core processor and 16 gigs of RAM. So that image took about 15 minutes, a little bit less to ray trace while we were doing that stuff in the background. This is just one example. If you want to have a look at some of the other examples that were there, for those of you that have not seen all of the examples in at Drupa, this is another example that comes out of iC3D. This is a combined example of having that dynamic background, but then with the ray traced image in there. So that looks pretty nice as well, I believe. And this is one where we have a mixture of materials. So we're always focusing on the glass and on the plastic, and of course for ray tracing that is important. But if you have a look at this image, for instance, you also see what the effects are of the ray tracing, even on this carton box. So that looks pretty nice as well. And the last example here is on a shrink image. So going back quickly to the pricing. And the end of my presentation is price-wise. There's some changes, and there's not. I would say that the basic investment today of iC3D is at the same price as it used to be. So it's 11,700 euros with the first year of support and maintenance included. The support and maintenance fee itself did go up a little bit at 2,300 euros. It's due to various reasons. The significant features that was added to it did not result in an increase in price of the base license as such, but that maintenance has been has gone up a little bit. And then, unfortunately, we've also seen the dollar-euro exchange rate go, well, up or down, at least not in the favor of the euro. And as this developer is an American-based company, there was a little adjustment on that as well. So let me have a quick look if we have any questions. I don't really see any questions at this moment. If you don't have any further questions, what you can do to access the new version 4 is go to our website, our multilingual website, go to the downloads section, and fill in your details at the trial here, and you will get access to the latest version 4. You will also, in the tutorial section on our website, find some more detailed tutorials here. They're all on top because they were the latest tutorials that were added on the different features that I've shown you. Should you have any further questions, feel free to get in touch with us. I wish you a very pleasant afternoon, and we hope to welcome you soon in one of our upcoming webinars.